Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On today's episode, we're covering Mark Andrew Twitchell, the Dexter killer.
Yeah, when you say Dexter killer, I think the guy's more modeled around what he wants to be in this. It's fun to listen to. I thought it was interesting.
Hey, man, life imitates art, imitates life.
Yeah, so Zap wasn't aware of the Dexter show. I mean, he knew about it, but never watched it, so this was a cool one to do. I think he learned a lot about it, so definitely enjoyed it. Don't forget to find us on Spotify, Apple, or Google. Obviously, you're there already, but leave us a review if you could and a 5-star rating. And sit back, relax, and enjoy Mark Andrew Twitchell, the Dexter killer.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
And history.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave and Matt. I love you, Kate Beckinsale. Call me sometime.
Hey, this is Matt.
And this is Dave.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement,
where every week we cover a true crime
or a compelling story.
So sit back,
relax,
and comprehend.
Hello, 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 all you cellar dwellers, and welcome back to the basement. I am Matt. As with me always is Dave.
What's going on, Matt?
And we also have Zap back in the house. He's becoming a regular.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, there's Zap. Thank you. Thank you, Zap. So, hey, what's going on today, man?
Not much, man. I got a really interesting story today.
Interesting.
I'm hoping most of our listeners have watched Dexter. Now, I know Zap hasn't, so we're going to fill him in on a little bit of it, but he's aware of the show. Today, we're going to do Mark Andrew Twitchell, the Dexter killer.
And why do they call him the Dexter killer?
Well, he modeled himself after Dexter from the TV show.
Okay.
So to give you a little background, Zap, like Dexter was a blood splatter expert for Miami-Dade Police Department, right? And basically on the show, he would kill those that got away with crimes. He was kind of like a vigilante killer, and he was brought up that way basically to do away with criminals that got off or that type of stuff.
Yeah, he would search the Miami-Dade database and find, or if he sees something like going on, he'll look into these people and see if they were like, some people were pedophiles, there was some people that were murderers, and he would go and take justice upon himself and off these people.
Yeah, he was like Batman a little bit.
Yeah, but just like more killing.
Yeah.
I like him already.
Yeah. No, he was good. It was a good show.
Yeah, you would enjoy the show, actually. You should check it out.
For sure.
And any of our listeners that haven't seen it, I would tell you up to season 4, it was great. After that, kind of lost me a little bit.
Where did they have the one girl that was in the 90s movies? And she was like his girlfriend, and then he was trying to teach her how to kill. Whatever season was that?
That was later on.
That was
no,
terrible.
wait, maybe not. Because Rita with the blonde hair, the white that he had the son to, and all that.
Yeah, not Rita.
Yeah.
That woman was a saint.
That's right.
That woman is a saint.
Be cool, Rita.
Easy.
Yeah. But this is one of the first shows that I binged watched. I remember getting back then you'd get Netflix discs in the mail, and they would send you like 1 or 3 at a time, and we would just watch these nonstop.
I binge a lot. It doesn't include watching things.
Yeah, binge eating and binge drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix, you'd get those movies and TV shows and stuff and try to like get as many in as you can because there's really no limit on what you could watch. So if you could bang them out, you could get
What was
more.
it? They gave you, like, was it whenever you watched it, you could send it back, right? It could be weeks, months.
No late
even
fees.
years.
Yeah.
Wow.
They
like
pretty much put Blockbuster out of business. I mean, Netflix did.
That's also a good one, is looking into the last Blockbuster. Anybody can watch that show.
There's
interesting.
Just to get off topic not that we're not already a little off topic, but for a quick second, there's an awesome documentary about that, about Netflix and how they went to Blockbuster and offered them, hey, we have this order by mail and all that, back when they were trying to do, I think it was initially when they were going to do VHS tapes, but they couldn't do, it was just too much money to ship them. But when it,
God damn, could you imagine, just hold on, everybody slow down for a second. So I remember feeling bad. Like, I mean, seriously, I felt bad for mailmen when Netflix was going on, because I figured if I'm some dude that's getting all these movies in the mail all the time, and I mean on constant rotation, I mean constant, I would get it one day to watch later and then immediately send it back. So Came in the one day, sent it out the next day. Constant rotation. So if I was one of those dudes, there's got to be a lot of more out there. That's not just me.
Well, look at what happened.
Could you imagine doing that with VHS tapes? Like that poor dude with that shoulder
How heavy it would
slung.
be.
Oh my God, that poor dude.
Well, when that VHS was out, they knew that logistically it wasn't going to work. But when DVDs came out, they knew like, hey, this business model will work. And they went to Blockbuster and said, hey, this is what we're doing. You want to buy us out? Basically, do you want to join up with us or whatever? And the Blockbuster's like, it'll never work.
Actually, that slowed down the volume of the post office, the U.S. Post Office. They're not doing as well these days because of Netflix.
But yeah, looking back, that was a mess up by Blockbuster, I think. But
Major.
At any rate, yeah, so Dexter, the show, it's a good show. Check it out. If you did see it, you'll probably really enjoy the story even more because you'll have something to kind of base it on, what this guy was trying to model his life after.
So this is Mark Andrew Twitchell.
Twitchell, yes.
Okay.
So I guess that's pretty much it. I guess unless you guys have anything else, we'll get into it.
Without ado. All right.
That's French for let's go.
You know what, though? I thought of something. How about a little foreplay?
Oh, okay.
Not that kind of foreplay. Here are 4 hints to give you a taste of what's to come. Deadmonton.
Star Wars.
Kill room.
Manhole cover.
And now time for some history. Mark Andrew Twitchell was born July 4th, 1979 in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. There is not much known about his early years, but it is said he came from a well-adjusted family. What the hell's that supposed to mean?
I think that the man that was born on America's birthday, he's got to be a righteous dude, right? Despite the,
Well,
maybe.
he was born in Canada. So.
Wasn't
there a movie about him, born on the 4th of July? About
that was like Vietnam.
Mark Andrew Twitchell.
That was that with Tom Cruise. Yeah. He was bullied as a kid, they said. He lived like a pretty much normal life as a kid. Unlike a lot of our stories with killers, is usually they have an alcoholic father like in the last. But this guy came from pretty much a normal family, both working parents. They were middle class, I guess. They didn't really struggle with anything like that, money-wise or anything. So, but he was bullied. I guess he had big ears, they said, as a kid.
Dumbo.
Yeah, and the kids would make fun of him. And they wore glasses and all that. And he was also way into, like, back then, nerdy things like comic books and stuff. And it's funny how that kind of shifted. Like, back then, and this guy's close to our age, a little bit younger, but...
Yeah, a little younger.
Back then, that stuff was thought of as nerdy if you were into Star Wars and that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody was into it.
Slow down there, Dave.
But you know how, like, back then... You had jocks and nerds, and the nerds were thought of more as like, oh, you're into comic books and you're into this and that. You were looked at as a nerd, but now it seems like it's shifted. And
sounds like a cool thing to do.
Yeah, kids that are smart are into that, or like kind of look at more as like, oh, that's a cool guy.
It's the popular place to be.
Yeah, it kind of flipped now. It's almost cooler to be interested in all those things.
Somehow, some way, I'm thinking these kids figured out, or were told, maybe by the right, maybe the wrong people, hey, man, you're going to need to earn money at some point. I don't care what you're into. Just make sure that you're into being smart.
Into green.
Right.
That's how you make the money. Because I don't care what color you are. The money is green.
That's right.
Word.
And being a jock or being athletic as a kid doesn't really mean much because how many of them pan out to be athletes or, make money that way?
Like you're saying, if you can read well, like by reading a lot and doing things, you make more money pretty much.
And much like I did, and much like I did, and I don't know about you guys, but this kid would do a lot of sketches and like with camcorders and try to reenact and do different things. And I remember doing that as a kid. I was way into that and trying to like kind of emulate what they were doing on SNL and different shows that I liked as a kid. And that's kind of what this kid, but he was way into like Star Wars and sci-fi and all that. But he would also do little sketch comedy stuff and different things. And he was into it. So from an early age, he had an interest in filmmaking and different things like that.
He was kind of a smart kid. He attended the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, or NAIT, in the late 90s to study a course on radio and television and graduated in 2000. He did make some friends while attending NAIT, one of which was Drew Kenworthy. Although Kenworthy thought of Mark as a good guy, he did say when it came time to do projects, Twitchell would come up with excuses to get out of doing the work. What's wrong with that? He would also lie at times for apparently no reason.
Right, and I thought you might like this guy, so I wanted to...
So there's a word for that. They call that pathological. And I've seen it. I've absolutely lived it, seen it. I'm sure we all have. But people randomly spit out the wrong stuff. it's somehow in their head.
Which Dave and I discussed, like you could get away with a lot of that before the internet.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Because you could just come up with facts like on the spot. People would be like, really? Be like,
sure.
yeah, I read that.
Before Google and all that.
Yeah. And if you just tell somebody, well, I read that or I saw it in Smithsonian or something, people are like, oh, okay, I guess you got some sort of, yeah.
And I do know Matt always usually likes a good liar, but I will warn you, this guy is somebody you're not going to like that much, just to give you a heads up. I know you know a little bit about the story.
Well, first, I mean, he said he came up with excuses to get out of doing work. Now, what's wrong with that?
Well, that's what I was
like
wondering.
He could have, like, he'd be like, hey, guys, like, I don't know, I'm not feeling too well today.
Right.
It's going to
get stuff done for you.
Yeah.
You know?
He sounds more American than Canadian.
For sure.
Exactly.
I can get with that.
Twitchell was a huge fan of Star Wars movies. In 1999, during the premiere of The Phantom Menace, he set up a charity fundraiser called Stand-a-thon, auctioning off drawings he donated, claiming they were actual sketches from the production crew of the movie. When it was later realized they were fakes, he was confronted. He would not admit any wrongdoing. So the guy was an entrepreneur also.
Yep. I mean, but he was lying. He was always lying, you know, and not just...
Stop lying.
This guy was a Star Wars hustler.
Big time. Yeah.
I'm for it. I think he's good. And I love the fact that, look, if you ever get caught in a lie, no matter what, this is rule number 1, from what I hear. Never, ever, 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 ever admit the lie. Don't.
Well, also, he was doing these sketches on his own, so then there was nobody to back up. I mean, even, like, that's usually when you get caught, is like more than one. So he's telling people, look, those are legit. They're like, man, this must be legit.
I got to believe that somewhere, somehow, in fact, even back in the 1990s when this movie came out, the late 90s, approaching 2000, you could find somewhere on those inner tubes, George Lucas or whomever the hell did drawings or you name it for Star Wars. I mean, even in those shows now, right? Like the shows that are running on Disney, they're running them with the sketches and the comics at the end of the shows, and you're flipping through those little, what do they call them, cells or whatever it is. Yeah, man. You can find his signature. Oh, yeah, this dude, you know,
here's the
Tom,
piece.
Dick, or Harry.
Yeah.
He drew this.
Here's a piece of paper that says it's legit. They're like, ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, his friend actually kind of called him out on that Kenworthy guy. He was like, hey, what's up, man? These are not real. You know,
and he called that a friend.
Right. But he was always wanted to be the center of attention. And that was even when he was a kid with the skits and doing all that. And with this whole thing here, he was trying to be the hero at the Star Wars, you know, because everybody's waiting in line, I guess. You know, well, you remember when Star Wars came out. I mean, the lines were huge.
I was in line.
Yeah. I mean, I was too.
I was there.
I was there opening night. I think most of us were. But this guy, he took advantage of it and was hustling. You know what I mean? Trying to make money.
Hustler, hustler.
Yeah.
After graduation, he married an American woman and relocated to Illinois in 2001. The marriage would end, and he would move back to Canada after their divorce in 2004. Well, they weren't married very long at all.
Yeah.
Twitchell would take sales jobs to support himself, and at some point concocted the idea of making a Star Wars fan film.
Yeah, so when he was married to this American woman, as you said, they were living together in Illinois, and I think...
Does she have a name, or they just call her American Woman?
No, there was a name, but I didn't put it in here, but
I think for sake of protecting the innocent, let's just call her American Woman.
An American woman, yeah.
But it seems so like Canadian, like he married an American woman.
They hate Americans.
They do, really.
So when he was there with her, she was telling stories about him getting online, and this is before catfishing became a thing. He'd go online and make up fake accounts and mess with guys, basically. Put up fake profile pics and kind of lure them along thinking there was like, you know, going to be a relationship. And he was just like pranking them and catfishing them basically before it became like a real thing. And she even would ask him about like, why are you doing it? You know, and he's like, oh, it's fun. I just think it's fun, like this and that. And somehow they got into a conversation one time about murdering somebody. And he made a comment like, I'd murder a homeless person because they'd be hard to like track, you know, it'd be harder to track you down or you'd be able to maybe get away with it. So he made a comment even back then about like they were talking about it or somehow came up and he made a comment about murdering somebody and trying to get away with it and how he would do it and all that. So it was kind of like letting you know that, man, maybe down the road, I wouldn't put it past the guy. So I think he had it in him all along.
Interesting.
So.
Could you imagine these two while they were dating? What are your interests? Oh, well, I'm into long walks and, you know, easy stories and catfishing.
Yeah.
It's like, who to what?
She's probably like, what is that back then? But yeah, I mean, he was doing this back then.
In the summer of 2006, he would start filming Star Wars Secrets of the Rebellion at his alma mater using green screen for most of the shots. The cast consisted mostly of locals, although he did land a cameo by Jeremy Bulloch, who played Boba Fett in the original Star Wars films. The movie did not make it past post-production and was never released. He also wrote a script for Day Players, which was a comedy show based around background actors.
Yeah, so right after that.
He was a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Day player.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. No, he was, besides a day player, he was a screenwriter, correct?
Yeah, well, he was
He didn't get really paid for any of it and pretended that he was like doing jobs.
So dude went to film school or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's not my
TV.
profession. I'm no scientist. I don't know how this worked, but yeah, he went for something along those lines.
He knew from a kid that that's what he wanted to do. He did, like you said, went to school for that. This Day Players was basically, he kind of ripped off, and that's the other thing, this guy would rip off ideas from other people.
like the Star Wars ones. He was,
Obviously it was, yeah, pretty
he's
much.
like, I got this idea.
Yeah, like the Star Wars one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Pretty much a ripoff. There was a Ricky Gervais show that was out around this time. This would have been 2000, what we say, 8. No, this would have been like 2006, 2007, I guess. Not 100% sure of the Ricky Gervais. Are you guys familiar with any Ricky Gervais shows around that time? Would have been on TV back then. And it's not The Office, the original Office.
I was going to say only by hearsay.
Oh, yes.
I
Ricky
know that
Gervais was in had the original Office.
He was the OG Office.
Yeah, well, there was a show that Ricky Gervais had that was a similar premise to this Day Players, which Day Players was going to focus around background actors that take their job way too seriously. So imagine like in a scene and, they're at a hospital and there's two people in the background talking and they would be like way into their job basically. And it was like a comedy, I guess, but I guess Ricky Gervais did something similar. So this guy was always ripping off ideas, but that's what Day Players was.
Okay.
And he was trying to get funding and all this from family members and all that. So, and friends.
You're saying he really got into shows that other people would do.
Yeah, basically he didn't have like many original ideas. And even when he was a kid, when I was talking about those skits, he would take TV shows like Wheel of Fortune and he did one called Wheel of Torture. Or like, what was the other one? And they like, some of them sounded like pretty sick, but there was another one that they said that he did as a kid. And he would just basically take the like two shows and combine.
Well, as a kid too, the internet wasn't really popping.
No.
It wasn't popping off. So you can make up stuff. You're like, hey, I got this game where you like spin this wheel.
Right.
And you like try to get something on the board and you make money. They were like, wow, man, it's awesome.
I mean, we did that as a kid. Like we would watch Johnny Carson and then do Johnny Carson. And
Yes,
I guess,
sir.
yeah, we would do that.
Correct,
type
sir.
stuff. Yeah. I mean, you're always influenced by, but that's as a kid. Now this guy's growing up and he's not really having any original ideas. Everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at, even before the internet, there were plenty of people out there taking existing and turning into something. Look, Wheel of Fortune. Think of Wheel of Fish.
Yeah.
That was a thing. I think that was on UHF. I could be mistaken.
Wheel of
But
Fish.
Got it all on UHF.
I'm thinking that was on UHF.
It was on UHF.
While we're taking a quick little break here in the old stream of thought, I'm curious. So, dude married this American broad back in 2001. They divorced, and he moved back to Canada in 2004.
Yep.
So,
Roughly like 2004, 2005, yeah.
I have no idea relative to the civics, bureaucracy, or anything involved with American citizenship, but there were always stories, you can marry into America, and then you're in America, and then you're good to go. Is there a timeline, like you have to be married X long, and then you're all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but
Like a citizen?
Yeah,
I think,
you're a
I think once
citizen.
you're married, you're married. Once you sign that paper.
No, I get that once you're married, you're married. I'm saying,
I'm just like that makes you a citizen. You have to take a class though.
so by choice.
But Canada's like America light.
Wait. The call of the question, was he forced to move back to Canada, or did he?
I think by choice he wanted to go back and kind of start over with his career and all that. I don't know. I didn't really read anything that stated that
So
he
we
had
can't
to get
really
out.
say.
Cannot really say. One other thing that he did too, I forgot. With
Cooler
that.
weather,
Yeah,
mild winters.
could be that.
Good fishing.
And speaking of Edmonton, which we referenced in the foreplay, they called it Deadmonton because there wasn't really always a lot going on there until the oil industry started booming and all that. But originally, like Edmonton was kind of called Deadmonton. At one point, there wasn't really much going on, but
This explains so much relative to the hockey team name.
right, the Oilers and all that. That wife that he had in America,
Wayne Gretzky.
that wife that he had in America also called him lying about like dumb shit. She'd be like, "Hey, did you pay the
I thought you
cable-"
meant she also called him like lion, like
like a lion?
no.
No, she'd say, "Did you pay the cable bill?" He's like, "Yeah, I paid it." And then
I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about catfish before it was invented. Maybe that was the introduction. Like that was the cat part of his catfishing. Yeah, I'm a lion, baby.
I'm a lion.
I had a side gig on MGM intros when the lions roared. Yeah, I did that during college.
It was my face.
I was wearing a mask, man.
I heard that with that lion when they put the real lion, they put a real lion head through, that they would do something to the actual lion's body to make him growl like that.
I heard they shocked him.
Yeah. I don't know if they stuck something up there.
They did. They shocked his balls.
Is that what it was?
No, that's like what they do to like cattle when you see like what are those called? The bulls, the wild bull races.
Okay, so
they have a thing. It's like a strap. And they yank their nuts.
Well,
and
so
then they let the strap go.
Okay, so you've gone from shocking. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's take this back. You said they did something to the lion.
I don't know exactly what they did, but they said they did something to it.
Then you went from there to shocking his balls, and now you're saying, oh, well, they weren't necessarily shocking his balls. They were yanking it with a string attached to his balls.
No, that was a bull. A bull.
So
to make the lion.
A bull.
But for the lion, because like regularly they were probably like, all right, let's get him, and he's probably like,
the lion got the shock treatment. The bull just gets the string.
So the lion's all like, there's like, we got to do better than that.
I think we got.
We got to jumpstart this lion here.
Come on, they're getting him mad. He's like, so they had to make it better. I don't know.
Are you Matt Twitchell? Or are you making this stuff up right now?
Actually, I did make that up 110%, but I don't. They had to have done something.
Done something.
Or in fact, is there some garage someplace where you got a lion with shock treatment going on?
Could have been. But back to the original thought was she called him like lying too. That's why he was having affairs. He would lie about everything. She'd say, "Hey, did you pay the cable bill?" "Oh yeah, took care of it."
I didn't read that.
Yeah.
So he was like cheating on her and stuff.
He was like having kind of cheating and messing around, and also lying about paying bills and all that. She like, "Did you take care?" "Yeah, I took care of it. Don't worry about it." Well,
maybe he was he had stuff to do around the house, and she was like, "Did you do this?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure."
Nah, but it was like constant, I guess.
Okay, that's terrible.
So yeah, so back to what Zap's original question was. I think he moved back more just to start over and kind of get back to what he was thinking about doing with the film career and all that.
Well, this Twitchell cat, in 2008, he was introduced to the show Dexter by a friend. This would change everything. So he finally gets introduced to Dexter.
Yeah.
Shortly after discovering the show, he wrote and directed an 8-minute horror film called House of Cards. The film was about an unfaithful man that was killed in a garage after meeting a lover on an online dating site. At some point during filming, Twitchell decided he wanted to be a real-life serial killer and emulate his hero Dexter Morgan. He went on to create a Plenty of Fish account and made up a fake profile calling himself Sheena.
Was that Warrior Princess?
Yes, Shira.
No, man, that was Xena.
No, that was Shira.
No, Xena, the Warrior Princess.
It's Xena.
That was the first entree into malt beverages like White Claw.
Zima.
Oh, Zima. Yeah,
Zima.
Yeah,
White Claw.
Right, so Sheena was actually good to go with Funky Cold Medina.
That's right.
If you are familiar with that track by Tone Loc. And if you aren't, you need to look that. Don't sleep on that.
No.
Look that up. That's a great track.
She was good to go.
Definitely.
However, Sheena was a man. How foreshadowing? No, wait. Do you want to talk about foreshadowing?
Right.
Yeah. We're not even there yet in this story.
Oh, on the Tone Loc song.
Yes, on the Tone Loc song.
Sheena was a man.
That's brilliant, Zap. You tied that right in there. Tone Loc knew. He knew. He knew.
He was calling out this dude before dude even called himself out.
Way ahead of time.
It was much like Lola.
Right.
I'm curious at this point, the chicken and the egg.
Show.
No.
Oh, okay.
Did Mark actually write the show first and that influenced him to become crazy? Or did he always have that craze in him and he just wrote out what he knew he was going to ultimately do?
No, I think he thought he was like some sort of like high-end film type producer guy. He always thought he had like these brilliant ideas, like Dave would say, but they were usually just stuff he saw Dexter and kind of had the same kind of idea that Dexter was. He just like changed some things around.
Kind of what Zaps was asking. I think he had it in him because not that the actual Dexter, the real character, would have known, but he was interviewed and asked about after this case and everything that happens. And I don't want to give you too much because we're going to get into it, but remind me to come back to that.
Save it
at one point. But I also wanted to bring up, there was a show called House of Cards. And my thought originally, when I first heard this, was like, he probably stole that title from House of Cards. But he actually didn't. I couldn't believe it. He actually came up with that on his own. House of Cards came out in 2013. Kevin Spacey.
Well, reading this also, I thought it said he went on to create Plenty of Fish. Which
Does it say that?
No.
I was going to say no.
He created a Plenty of Fish account. Now, what was Plenty of Fish? I might be showing age here.
So Plenty of Fish, friends of mine have parents, right? We all still have parents who are living. So Plenty of Fish, if I understand correctly, is a singles site.
Dating website
for middle-aged to later-aged people, finding that person.
Like, don't give up hope. There's plenty of fish.
Plenty of fish. That's right. It is the
premier.
It's a
middle-aged dating.
Again, from what I hear, what is alleged, it is the cleaner version of swipe right, swipe left.
That's the Tinder account.
I can't speak to that. I don't know how.
Oh, can we say that on? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Tinder. I mean,
yeah.
I think these are more about dating. Some of those sites are more about just hooking up, like. I don't know about Tinder. I don't know about any of these because obviously I'm out of the loop. But I do know that
possibly Grindr. In Mark's case.
Yeah. It could have been. Yeah.
Hoagies and Grindr.
I didn't have this written in there. Also,
Grindr. I just met her. Oh wait, no, that's not.
I think Dahmer would have been on Grindr.
Yes, that would have been a Dahmer site.
Yeah, he got remarried. I don't know if that was in there.
I didn't read that part.
So when he came back.
I hope not to Sheena.
No.
Sheena was a man.
Sheena was a man. And that this was done years before this sort of thing was legal.
Right. So at this point here where we are in the story, let's recap. So he grew up bullied, went to school, film school and all that, got married to an American girl, moved here, moved back, at which point he's probably 24.
I'm
going to do math, but now he's back in Canada. He meets a girl there.
I'm no scientist.
Yeah. He meets a girl there back in Canada within the year, all during the Star Wars stuff and all that, and gets married. She's an older woman. She's a little bit older than him. I think like a few years. And basically he gets married again. And now he's married and ends up having a kid. He has a daughter now during all this while they're doing Star Wars. He's hitting her up for money. He's hitting up their parents and all that. He's lying about his employment. And he's trying
he was telling his new wife who had the baby that he was employed.
And he wasn't.
Gainfully employed.
But he wasn't.
He was not.
He was living off money that people were giving him to fund this movie.
Yeah, to fund this movie.
This Day Players.
Was it Day Players or the House of Cards?
Well, Day Players was the one that people were funding. He was telling these people, hey, I got Alec Baldwin lined up. And, this and that. And it's going to be a big deal. I think her parents gave like $30,000. They threw a number out there, and somebody else. So he had like money in the bank, and he was using this money to kind of like say, "Oh yeah, I got it. I could pay for this or that," and make it look like he wasn't working this whole time. And
then he's going on Plenty of Fish and setting up profiles.
Yeah, well, he was doing that, and
of a woman, but it was confusing.
Right. So before he got into that, he was doing this horror movie. It was a short film, like 8-minute short film. And to get people into it and to do it for free, he was like, hey, I promise you a part in Day Players. I got the funding and all that. Come do this horror movie of mine, and you'll get paid eventually when you do Day Players. So these people came on. He used the money to buy all kinds of props and stuff for this movie, this 8-minute horror movie, hockey mask, stun baton, hockey mask, stun baton.
Like, this has never been done before, guys. Get this. This guy with a hockey mask, right? And he's going to carry a stun baton.
And knives and all that. So this guy's getting all these props for this movie. And they actually filmed the movie and did all that. But he had all these. And during this movie, he comes up with the bright idea, I'm going to really kill somebody.
This is so messed up. Him using the term House of Cards speaks volumes.
Right.
This guy, it's incredibly ironic. He knew what was coming.
Yeah,
this whole thing was going to collapse.
Well, this guy's like, hey, I got
completely. Dude, what are you doing?
Right.
I got this idea for something called Secrets of the Rebellion. It's about Star Wars. You guys should really check this out.
Well, he was such a liar about everything, and his wife was getting on. They were renting at the time, and she's like, well, you're working, and we got a daughter now. Let's buy a house. And he was
Hell's no.
Well, he was like, shit, how am I going to do that? I don't got a job. So he went and got a burner phone. And with a mortgage company, he gave him the number of this burner phone and said it's his place of employment. So when they called, he answered and put on a disguised voice and was like,
hi, my name is Sheena.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheena.
And made up all that stuff. And actually got a mortgage that way with the down payment of the money that was for this movie. And actually got a house and all that. And
we learned about it like a little of that later, though, right? Or no?
I don't know if like this part of it's in the actual scripted part,
right,
but this is all kind of like little things just to give you an idea of what this guy was up to leading up to the meat of it here, which is going to be
we're coming up on that.
Yeah.
So on October 3rd, 2008, he set up a date with a man named Jills Tetrot, who was expecting to meet up with a very attractive woman named Sheena. Again with Sheena.
Yeah.
This is where he got her.
Yep.
That's why you don't fool around. Twitchell had given him directions to a garage he was renting. Upon entering, Jills was stunned to see a large man wearing a hockey mask painted black with gold stripes. Twitchell ordered him to lay down at gunpoint and taped his eyes closed. While he was on the ground, Jills decided to fight back, ripping the tape from his eyes and getting into a violent struggle with his attacker. He did eventually break free, but was too embarrassed to make a police report.
Do you guys know?
So I threw him out. I don't fool around with no Oscar Mayer wiener. You must be sure that the girl is pure for the funky cold Medina.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, he could have wrote that song about this, but this probably happened later, I guess.
Now, I read or whatever an account that he went after the guy with a taser.
Well, so
and tased him firstly. And the guy was like, man, like, because if you don't use a taser often, I guess you really wouldn't know how to, like, effectively.
Everything circles back to shock treatment here, man. This is
it's where it always goes.
Yeah, so he hits the guy, and the guy's like, what the hell are you doing to me? Like, what?
up the voltage.
1.1
gigahertz.
1.1 gigawatts. No, but
Gigahertz.
gigahertz.
Refresh rate.
Yeah. So the guy came, Tetrot, shows up at this garage, rented garage. So this guy's renting this garage, and this is where they. I don't know if it's the same one where they filmed the movie.
It's where he filmed his movie. Yeah. Well, he had a Dexter table and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah,
in there.
the whole kill room set up.
The shebang.
So basically, in the show Zap, and listeners that haven't seen Dexter had a kill room with plastic on the walls and like a table, and he would tape you down and just like kill you first, then a ritual style.
American Psycho.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Kinda.
Same concept, right?
Sorry,
but then he would cut
my
you
only
in.
exposure is lining everything with plastic because you know you're going to kill.
Yeah,
someone.
you're gonna make some messes.
The only thing was this guy never really took into account like a struggle or a fight, but he watching a TV show and it looks so easy. So this Jill shows up and he basically tases him with that stun gun, the baton, and there's a struggle and he gets him down on the ground and like you said, tapes his eyes closed. I don't know if he taped his mouth closed, but he could hear him rustling around and doing stuff. And when he started to gain some of his strength back, he decided, I'm going to fight back a little. He's like, hey, let me give you money. I don't know what this is, but just let me go, whatever. And he was like, no.
But it led into a struggle, I know, and they were fighting like out. It led to outside of the house.
Well, when he got up and he was like, he's like, I'm going to die here one way or another. I might as well fight back. He went after Mark when he saw the gun was fake.
Yeah, Mark went after him with a gun then and grabbed the gun,
Well,
but it was a rubber gun.
It was like a rubber gun.
Stop.
A practice gun.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This guy wanted to commit murders with like a rubber gun and a stunt, like a cattle prod.
No, not for nothing. Now, it's really interesting how the human mind works, right? So you get somebody so scared, right? So afraid. And in this case, you've dominated them completely. You've got them, whatever, duct tape, electro-shocked. I'm the guy wearing a hockey mask. I've just scared.
Ready to go.
I've just completely scared the shit out of you. So if I'm pointing a gun at you, you can probably believe, or at least in your mind, that's a real-ass gun that's going to kill you and end all of this. In reality, it's just a
rubber gun. It was fake. I don't know if it was rubber like he said, but it was definitely fake.
It was a rubber gun. They said like one of those heavy practice practice guns.
And back to the mask.
They make bath time lots of fun.
Right. Rubber gun. Back to the mask. It wasn't just a plain old hockey mask. It was black, painted black with like gold stripes on it. And he had it like all decorated and had like a hood up and he was just this menacing character.
Canada,
yeah. Hockey mask, yeah, I guess it makes sense.
But Twitchell was so numb to the fact that he didn't know how to do any of this, and he sees this show that is a show on television about how easy it is for this guy Dexter Morgan to kill these people. And he'll go and hit them with a stun gun. They fall to the ground. They're unconscious for like 40 minutes. You get to tape them up quietly, and none of the shit was working. So in real life, in TV, the guy's going to pass out. This guy is going to fight back.
He fought back. He was able to roll himself out of the garage. So the garage door is like partially up, and he was able to get out.
Ventilation.
Yeah,
sure.
But then there was a couple walking by that saw him struggling.
Yeah,
could have been a smoker. Who knows?
Yeah, it could have been.
He's like, can I get 5?
Yeah.
Let's take a break.
Come on, man.
So Twitchell reaches out and's like grabbing for him and all that, and he does get a hold of his legs, but can't pull him back in. And now his muscles are coming back because I guess when you get zapped like that, No pun intended.
He got zapped and lost all movement of the legs.
But he basically...
It's the 80s and I love the ladies.
That's right. We got to do that movie in honor of you, Zapped. Scott Bale. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Scott Bale.
No. I was
No,
again,
he's talking another Loke.
I was
He went all loco.
Thank you, Matt. That was me kicking it live with more throwback lyrics
lyrics.
from the hero Tone Loke.
I got you.
Medina. That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
Yes.
Are you a fan of Scott Bale and Zapped? Just out of curiosity, off topic.
Alas, I have never seen that movie. I know that it exists.
Right.
I know that it exists. I have not seen it.
It's actually a good movie.
He's able to take like ladies' pants down with a little
Just zaps it.
zappage.
Yeah,
Much like you.
When did this come out?
like in the 80s, I think.
Probably like 84, 83.
Yeah.
It would probably maybe in before 85.
This guy's was Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Way back.
He
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
No, he was. He was great. But anyway, this guy gets out, this Jill's character, and these couples walking by, I think with their dog, and they're like, "What the hell's going on?" He's like, "You gotta help me! Like this guy's coming after me." And
Dude's got a taser, a hockey mask, and a rubber gun, and I
right.
don't know what's going to happen next.
so imagine this, picture this. So you're out walking, and here this guy comes out and puts his hockey mask. Hey guys,
Yeah, he's like, we're just having fun out here. We're just playing around.
and tries to play it off. Yeah,
But the guy's like, he's like in that so scared mode. Like he's just been attacked. Like, so he's kind of like trying to scream. So he's like,
yeah, it doesn't really come out.
Take off, you hoser.
Yeah. So they kind of like get freaked
Canadian.
out, and they're like, "We're out of here. We're not gonna like get involved." And he somehow
well, the
He's
guy
able
just
to
gives
get-
up.
he gives
Twitchell
up.
gives up. And the
He-
guy just kind of crawls away.
Gets in
but
his
then
truck.
yeah, but how do you go home and not call the police?
he was embarrassed.
Of course, the dude was embarrassed.
Yeah.
The dude was trying to see Sheena, and Sheena was a man.
That could
Once
have been the
again.
whole thing. Maybe that's like, he was like, Sheena, yeah, sure, Sheena.
Again, let
So
us
he
be
didn't wanna-
clear. As
he didn't wanna
Tone
say.
Loke had foreshadowed, when she got undressed, it was a big old mess. Sheena was a man. So that all aside, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just wow. You had mentioned just now, how does a dude that captures or catfishes somehow entraps some other dude with full on intent of killing him? At what point, or how could he even say, you know what, I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. And you know what? Forget about it. Let him go. I'm just going to let him go.
Because the
And
guy
just
wasn't-
roll the dice.
What he sees is all on television, and the guy lies about everything. He sees this stuff on TV. He's like, I can do that. And when it comes down to it, like when it was the real thing happening, he's like, oh shit, this is harder than what I expected.
I guess he figured at that point it was like it was already sloppily done, and he was like, the guy's gonna get away, and maybe the worst is gonna happen. The police are gonna show up, but it'll be attempted robbery or something like that. Or you
Well, no,
know,
he was waiting. They said afterwards, he was waiting around like, shit, I'm done. Let me start
Yeah.
cleaning some stuff up here so it doesn't look like completely like
Like-
I have a whole murder room.
right.
So you're sitting there waiting, and 5 days go by. He's like, okay, I guess 10 days, and then I guess he waited like a month or so, and he was like,
No, he waited a week
was it a week?
to get
Dear
back into
God.
the next one. But no, he
Take a break,
Now,
dude.
here's another thing. That couple that actually kind of fled the scene, and they were like, we want no parts of it. They did call the police and brought the police back to the scene. Nobody was there. The garage was locked up, and they were like, hey, nothing here. We're just going to let it go. And they blew it off.
So I don't know landlord-tenant law in Canada. However, there's always names, deposits, some kind of
Yeah, if a rented garage.
Somebody owns property. Okay,
Yeah.
somebody owns the property. So ultimately, that dude's going to be liable, and that dude that's liable is going to go after the tenant. And hey, man, blah blah blah. So maybe it could be just some kind of cash deal.
Well,
or
the
whatever.
liability factor does come into play in the story.
I guess the police figured, hey, this guy didn't make a police report. So maybe they were just screwing around. And maybe in their mind, they were like, maybe it really was just a joke. But this,
Or trying to get these people like, oh, I'm going to call the cops, and these people are like, haha.
yeah, but
That never happens.
But they decided not to follow up with it and kind of let it go. And then, like Matt said, but it didn't take as long as you were thinking. He kind of let it cool off. And
It was kind of like when I was a kid, there was like a lot of shark attacks at Ocean City, Maryland. So like me and my cousin, we like made this shark fin. We were like swimming around in the bay. And then we got up out of the water, and there was like guns pointed at us. It was scary,
That's some
But I-
bad hat, Harry.
yeah, that's a bad idea.
right? But yeah, only tried that once
Yeah. Where are we at?
on October 10th.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. October 10th, Twitchell once again set up a new name under a new alias and profile. This time with 38-year-old John Brian Altinger, who wisely made his friends aware of his date plans. This time, Twitchell proceeded to beat and stab Altinger to death After killing him, Twitchell cut up the body and put the body parts in bags for disposal.
All right.
So he went real deal Holyfield on this one.
Yeah.
Right. So a little background on this engagement, or not engagement, what I'm going to say, interaction. A little background on this interaction. So this guy meets him online. I think they said the name was Jen. I don't remember for sure, but he had set up a whole new account. And this guy let his friends know, like, hey, I'm going on this date, but this girl sent me these wild.
He sent an email or something to one friend.
Yeah, he told his friend, like, hey,
exactly where the place was. If I end up
going.
dead, something like that. He kind of foreshadowed or joked around about it.
Basically saying, like, hey, if something happens, this is where I'm at. Well, he gets there early. And when he gets there to the garage, he sees the lights are on in there.
Same garage.
Same garage.
So let me see if I got this straight.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm understanding this timeline,
A week later.
that's where I was going. 1 week later.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy somehow O.J. Simpsoned his way out of the first one, and now he's on the second one.
Right. Well, if you like I said with the first one, nothing really came of it.
Yeah,
Now,
there was nothing.
At that point, I guess he figured I'm in the clear. It's only been a week, but he was like back at it. And yeah, he's back onto the next guy.
Something like an attempted murder, you would figure within the hour or so there would be cops.
Well, that's in his mind. He thought it was going to be an hour. He was
Yeah.
worried about his story on the way home. Like, oh, when I get home and the cops are there, what am I going to say? And they never showed up. So I guess after a couple of days, he's like, I guess I'm good now. So he actually also forgot to mention with the first guy, Jill, he had sent a threatening email basically saying, if you contact the police, I know where you live. I know who you are. That garage is just like a random location I picked. You won't find me there, but I know where to find you. And basically told the guy, like, I will find you if you report this. Now, this guy, Jill, who's obviously still alive, said that never happened. He said he never got an email from him.
Okay.
But whether or not he did send an email, threatening email like that, I don't know.
I
But
just don't understand like the whole non-calling, or maybe you would think that,
It's
or
embarrassing.
maybe he thought that was like the boyfriend was there waiting on him, or maybe he was set up the whole time. He didn't want to be catfished, like Manti Te'o.
yeah, he was embarrassed. Like, he didn't want to talk about it. Actually, I think he had an ex-wife or ex-girlfriend, this Jill character, that he did tell about, because she came over and saw he was bruised up and beat. He's like, this is what, she's like, you need to tell the cops. He's like, I don't want to. It's embarrassing. And he was just embarrassed. But
I didn't know online dating was that
right.
embarrassing.
But this second victim, this John Altinger.
It's embarrassing when you show up and it's a dude.
Yeah.
But his name was Sheena.
Yeah. When he shows up, this Altinger guy shows up. He's early, and he goes into the garage and stuns this guy. And Mark's like,
Not with a gun or anything.
no.
You mean
Just
surprises
stuns him like surprise.
Yes, okay.
I should select that word.
So we've been
Bad choice
talking
of words.
Yeah, we've been
Don't be
talking a lot
throwing me
about
off,
electrical
man.
devices here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Stun was the wrong
Bad choice.
verb.
Surprises
He
him.
surprises him. And Mark's like, oh, hey. And he puts his mask up. Oh,
Hey,
Surprise.
hey, what's going on? I
hey
guess
man, what's going on here?
you're here to meet, let's say Jen, I think was
Yeah.
her name. You're here to meet Jen.
So
Oh,
yeah, she'll be back in a minute.
She'll
Like,
be back.
yeah.
It's like a half hour. She'll be back. You know, I'm making this movie and we film out here and this and that. And this John guy's like,
He's creeped out. He's
something
like,
doesn't.
Yeah.
But being guys, we know how when it comes to that, you kind of like you think you're gonna get action or something. Sometimes you'll let some of that stuff slide.
You will hold out until the bitter end.
Bitter end, yeah.
He's like, I got a coffee for you. Just
Yeah.
sit there and wait.
No. Leave the hockey mask on. It's cool.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, she'll be right back, man.
The
Don't
guy's cleaning his
don't worry about it.
knives.
Yeah, he's cleaning knives and stuff.
Yeah.
He has like a knife collection.
And he's just got one thing on his mind. So he's like, you know what? I'll be back. He's like, I'll roll out. And this Mark guy's telling him, oh, I made the Star Wars movie you probably knew about. And he's like, no, I know nothing about that. So he was trying to make small talk with him. And
But Mark this time, remember, he didn't have the stun gun anymore. He had a lead or a pipe,
like a
a lead pipe
galvanized steel, I think it was.
in the garage with the rope and.
Easy on that foreshadowing because I for damn sure I'm going to be a part of that one.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Let's not bring that up. I
So-
just gave him maybe a little bit of a clue.
So
Just a little dazed.
Yes.
So he leaves, and on his way back to his house, he contacts a friend and says, hey, you're never going to believe what happened. I went over there. There's a guy there making a movie. I don't know if this is legit. And he also messages her on the dating app. Hey, what's up? Is it? And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be there. I'm sorry. I'll be there, blah, blah, blah. So he thinks, all right, well, maybe it is legit. And like I said, we all know how guys think when you're thinking with the wrong head.
Yeah, he was too legit to quit.
He's in, like I like to call it, the fog.
Like sex brain.
Yeah. And he goes back, tells his friend, like, hey, this is what's going on. And now he's got two friends that know where he's going. and that there's a little fishiness going on. So when he goes back the second time,
Catfishiness.
yeah, pretty much. When he goes back the second time, Mark wastes no time. And when he walks in, he basically attacks him with his pipe.
Hits him with the pipe,
and
knocks him out.
Beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, he was dead within minutes. Like, he wanted to do the whole, like, torture thing, the whole Dexter torture.
He's cracking him on the head with his lead pipe, and he's not going down. He's like, hey, come on, stop. He's like,
So it's interesting, right? So, again, we've all seen plenty of movies, plenty of television shows. Man, that murder looks a hell of a lot easier on television. You know, you go after somebody with a pipe, don't think that you're just going to hit that right spot at the right time like you saw in that show or that movie. No, man, you got to keep bludgeoning that dude.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that simple. Like the fight or flight, too, like the reflex in that guy was probably like, what the hell's going on? And like once you adjust and,
he's even,
like you said, you can't even make like that right. But like you see in a movie, somebody hits somebody in the back of the head like with a punch and like, boom, they're out.
The skull is a hard-ass bone.
Yes.
Let's no one forget that. The skull is a hard-ass bone. It's amazing how nature works that way because it's protecting your goddamn brain, man. Like, that's a really important thing to protect.
And it makes an excellent bowl.
For sure. Yeah. Like our boy Ed. But he's cracking him on the head, and he's still having a conversation. Like, hey, cut it out.
Stop it.
Hey, knock it off. No. But he's like, stop. Hey, what's going on? Stop. He's like, you want money? Same type shit. You want money? You want my car? You know, whatever. So he's beating him. And finally, he starts to fight back. And then Mark takes a knife, and he says it was cinematic. Mark is telling the story. He's like, I stabbed him just like in the movies, in the stomach. And he lurches forward, and he's like, oh, you know, just like you see in a movie. He said it was like, and then he was down on the ground. And then he proceeded to stab him in the neck, and he bled out on the ground right in the garage. So he basically murdered a guy within minutes of him coming back, which is crazy. And all because of watching this damn show. Now, he wanted to knock him out, put him up on this kill table, tape him down, do the whole ritual. It didn't turn out like that.
He did end up sawing him up, though. He did cut him into pieces small enough to fit in a couple trash bags.
Yeah. So he took the guy, put him up on the table, cut him up, put him in bags. He said after he got caught, which I guess we're kind of giving that away, but you know.
Yeah, hold your horses.
Yeah, I'll tell you later about that.
Friends of John Altinger became concerned when he was not returning their calls and had sent them emails stating he was going on a long vacation to Costa Rica. They had contacted police, who in turn decided to investigate the disappearance. It did not take long to connect Mark Twitchell to the case. According to Twitchell, he had a chance meeting with Altinger before his trip to Costa Rica and had purchased his Mazda 6 sedan for $40. Now, who says that shit?
So slow down here. Slow down. So everybody just slow.
So I moved too fast.
How was Twitchell implicated at all? Or was this... Okay, so what I'm understanding is Twitchell at some point was in touch with the police. Like, he was in contact with the police. So did he approach the police and said, hey, man, I saw some dude doing whatever? Or did the police come to him and say, hey, man, we understand that you're renting from, Harvey Greaseball, this garage, and, you're a tenant there, and some shit went down there, and blah, blah, blah. We got to ask you a couple of questions.
Actually, Twitchell, he went after the murder, he went back to Altinger's house, correct? And he took a laptop and a couple other things out of the house. He, in turn, he erased everything off the computer. And from the email that Altinger sent, that was the only thing that the police had to go on was the address of this garage.
Well, his friends, remember, like I said, Altinger had let his friends know where he was going. So they had directions to this garage.
That was the one thing that they found.
So the friends already knew that. Once they knew the police knew where the garage was, they looked up the address. Oh, who owns this? We own it, but we're renting. We don't rent the garage. Who's renting the garage? Mark Twitchell. Boom, back to him. And that's when they start questioning him.
They actually invite him to the police. Well, no, they went in and checked out the garage. And they were looking around in there, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird. Like, this is." He's like, "Well, I like sci-fi." He's like, "I'm into Star Wars."
Well, there was a lot.
No cops looking for murder.
2 a.m.
Yeah,
got the fat burger.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Ice Cube.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes. Very
nice. So there was when he took him out there to the garage, he's like, "Hey, I didn't put this lock on here." He was like, playing
somebody must. Yeah, he's like, somebody must have changed the lock.
Trying to set it up, like, "Oh man, who would have done that?" I'm trying to make it look like he wasn't involved. But they had questioned him like, hey, when was the last time you were there? You ran? He's like, oh, yeah, I think it was like the 10th, but I don't remember. And they knew right away.
No, there was cleaning supplies in the garage. And
a receipt.
Yeah, and the one officer said, when's the last time you were in here? He said, sometime in September. I don't even really remember. But he said on the table, the cop saw a receipt for October 10th. And he's like, now, why would you say September? You know,
have a receipt.
When you were just here like a few days ago, you would remember bringing cleaning supplies into your own garage.
Oh, Christ. Did he use a credit card?
Yeah, that was my next point.
Stop. No.
They said there was a credit card.
What?
And they were like, hey, let's see your credit card.
What a dumbass.
And he was like, no. And then they're like,
you idiot.
So they matched the last 4 digits. They're like, you bought this shit.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
How does this happen? Come on, man. So this is a dude who is trying to model murders off of something he's seen on the television. For Christ's sake.
That is so infatuated
he
with.
uses a credit card. Come on, man. That's murder 101. Do not use a credit card.
Well, here's the best part. I guess we'll get to
when
it
we
next.
even get to the part about the car where when he was being questioned by the cops. Go ahead.
Go into the next part because you know nothing really about the story at all.
I don't know a goddamn thing.
Oh, this is perfect.
So anyway,
You're never going to believe
this car is missing. So he took the guy's car.
40 Canadian dollars from what I hear.
Yes.
So
40 Canadian crowns or whatever.
Crown Royales.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, Zap's a money man. He knows his money. And so what's the exchange
I can't speak to international market. Everything's in fluctuation right now.
Okay.
It's a terrible economic market out there. You can't. It's all moving so quickly.
If you had to guess, would you say Canadian money is more or less right now?
Less than U.S. dollar.
Okay.
Still?
Always.
U.S. dollar was pretty kaputsky.
Look, man.
All right, I'm just saying, hey, well, that's a whole nother podcast.
So maybe a $30.
I love America.
American dollars for this Mazda.
Look, so at least no matter what, it was $39.99 Canadian crowns to $40 American.
Gotcha.
So
God bless America.
So the guy goes to the cops. He's like, oh, there is one thing. He's like, I did buy a Mazda 6 sedan. I guess it was this guy's. I heard somebody went to Costa Rica and a homeless man sold it to me for $40.
No, well, he said that.
What? How does
That's what it is.
How does a homeless
story? No, it wasn't a homeless man, but
it was him. He said that he by chance ran into this
guy on the street.
Wait. Stop. Everybody calm down.
So there's a Mazda 6
I got it. So, okay. Killer purchased an automobile.
Correct.
For 40 Canadian
quid.
For 40 Canadian pesos from Altinger. At what point does a homeless man come into this conversation?
He says, according to Twitchell, he said that there was a man on the street that said, hey, do you want to buy a car? So the guy on the street just bumps into him, correct? He said bumped into him.
I thought it was Altinger that actually sold the car, but you're saying it was a homeless guy?
Yeah, he was saying he ran into some man. I don't know if he was homeless, but according to Twitchell's story, he ran into some man on the street and said, hey, would you be interested in buying a car? I don't need it. You got $40 on you.
That was it. See, I heard the story differently, that Altinger met up with him by chance and was like, hey, we're going to Costa Rica. I just have no use for this car. I just want rid of it. And $40. What he basically said, what do you got on you? He's like, $40. He's like, done. Take it.
I like my story.
But the point is like, for that money, why not just leave it?
Dave, while your story makes more sense, Matt's story is in fact quite a bit more exciting.
Yeah. Well, we could go with that.
I just try to jazz it up a little bit.
Once you interject that third party of the not even a homeless, just some third party.
Some third party.
Hey man, you want to buy this car? How much?
Right.
Okay.
You just got the deal of the century. You're going to pass it
No. Keep the title. I don't care. I'm just going to drive away.
We don't even have to go through that. Yeah, we'll figure that out later.
Right.
So anyway, the cops are like, he tells this story, and the cops are looking at each other, like, we're looking at each other right now, like, what's this guy talking about? Like, this guy's so guilty. But then they were like, well, shit, we need a body. We need to go to the garage. We need more evidence. So go
but to me, that like it's not even the worst part of this. So I think we'll get into that after the next. Like this is stupidity. This part, like, did you even come up and concoct this story?
This is where this House of Cards falls.
Starts to fall.
This is absolutely where this House of Cards falls, and everything just goes
so
completely awry. Completely awry.
So just to recap, to bring us back around. So
you are a recap man.
No, this is a hella story.
I like the recap. I like the recap just so we know where we're at. So now this guy, second victim, actually ends up killing him. He has the body wrapped up in plastic bags, has the car, all that. The police are now looking at him for a missing person, and they don't know who is deceased yet.
They can't say a murder.
But they do know that he is missing. His car is now in the possession of this Twitchell guy. He has a garage that he's renting. There's some weird stuff they're finding in there, receipts and cleaning supplies and other things, and that's kind of where we're at.
The police impounded Twitchell's car and a computer shortly after this and discovered a mountain of evidence linking him to the murder of Altinger. There was blood in the trunk of the car that matched that of Altinger. On the computer, they recovered a script that had been deleted called Serial Killer Confessions, or SK Confessions. In this script were detailed descriptions eerily similar to those of the ones committed by Twitchell. He did eventually admit to murdering Altinger, but stated it was in self-defense.
Right. So this guy was actually writing his own script. He was going to make this movie.
SK Confessions.
Yeah, he was actually performing the murders and renaming the characters in his script, but he was living it out in his real life. Like, he was like, I'm going to do this movie, but first I'm going to actually do these murders and then write it into a script and then reenact it.
So this kind of answers the chicken versus the egg question. It's they're both happening simultaneously.
Yeah. He was just basically thinking when he did that little 8-minute movie, the House of Cards movie, it was a short film. He was like, I can make a full-length movie and make it about... He wanted to go after guys that were being unfaithful. That's why he'd go on these websites and try to find guys that were in relationships.
But no, he
married.
thought going after the married people would be too hard because he's like, the wives would be looking
they'd be
right
connected,
away.
yeah.
He'd be like,
But his initial thought was like, that'll be like me doing good. Like Dexter was a vigilante killer. And he was like, oh, I'll be doing good. I'll be getting these guys that are,
Look, let's not. Hey, fornication is a sin.
No doubt, yeah.
Just saying it. It's there. It's a thing.
For sure. So that was kind of his plan. And I mean, I think it's crazy, though, that he actually wrote it out into a script. And like,
for all the world to see.
It's like just spontaneous felonies. It's just ridiculous.
Cops like, hey, look, we even got more of it. Hey, read this.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
I mean, when they got that script, it was like, oh, this is exactly.
Thanks for the plot.
Yeah, except the names were different.
Mind if I give this to the district attorney?
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about the body, what he did with the body. Did we say that?
No. So,
Okay.
do you have it there, or do you want?
No, I don't think we talk about it in the story.
There was some foreshadowing though. I could have sworn I heard somebody said parts and bags.
Yeah, so there was the fourth part that Zap read was manhole cover of the foreshadowing.
Manhole
cover. So he had these body parts in a bag. Initially, he took like a 50-gallon drum. He had them in this 50-gallon drum and took them to his parents' house to try to burn them off. And then he realized, well, you can't really burn a body too easily. I guess it's got to get really hot.
50-gallon drum.
Yeah. So
there's paid professionals for this.
Again,
this is why funerals cost so goddamn much.
Right.
What's that movie with Harvey Keitel? He was a cleaner. Like, they do stuff like that.
Yeah, the wolf. The Gray Wolf.
Yeah.
That was from like Pulp Fiction, I think.
Yeah. But you got to call guys and they do that. That's like a job.
So he took the body there while his parents were away. He tried to burn it off, and it didn't really work too well. The bag's burnt, but the body didn't. So he loaded them back up in his car, took them back to the place, the garage, cut them up into smaller pieces. Then he proceeded to load them back in his car and drive around so he could find a good spot. And he found
like an all-night tire fire? Like, what are you going to do with bags of parts?
This is what he saw
difficult to burn
from Dexter. Because you haven't seen Dexter. He saw in Dexter that Dexter takes these parts that he already cuts up, takes them out to the middle of the ocean there in Miami, and dumps them overboard.
He could have found some guys doo-wopping like on the corner. Like one of those
like a Rocky.
yeah, for sure.
What was that song?
I got like a body. You know, it's going to burn it.
What was that song they were singing in Rocky? Like, take me back. Take me back. Or something like that.
Like, oh, yo, Rock. Hey, he's like, give me a little something. You know.
He could have found them guys and like dumped it in. But no, I guess the body, just wouldn't burn.
P.S. Neither of you sound anything like the guys from the movie.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, just putting that out there.
I have no voice.
That wasn't a little Rocky-ish? That was a little Rocky.
Not even close.
Well, I don't even.
Thank you very much.
I don't attempt to do a Stallone. I don't really attempt too many impersonations, but. So yeah, he eventually dumped this body into took a manhole cover
in the manhole.
Yeah, in the manhole. Dropped it into the sewer drain, and that was that. So
I'm going to take this opportunity since we're on the topic. Now, gentlemen, ages 45 and older, check your manhole.
That's a good point.
Prostate ain't nothing to be afraid of.
No doubt.
check your manhole. Get it checked. Use those paid professionals. Look, if by now you're a grown ass man, you've got insurance. Go to your doctor, get that colonoscopy.
Yeah, they say now 45 and over.
Well, they're saying if you're going to the bathroom more than twice to 3 times a night, like you got some prostate troubles.
Yeah, or if you're peeing, you mean?
Yeah.
No doubt. Or yeah,
you can't say that.
That's right. I forgot. Bad word.
But like I mean, like twice a night, which is
You can't say peeing.
no doubt.
no doubt.
Oh,
Yeah, I
His
gotta
friend
watch
said,
that.
yeah, you gotta
I gotta
chill on it.
cut back on it. You know.
I got to quit smoking too, but whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Twitchell was convicted of first-degree murder on April 12, 2011, to life in prison without a shot at parole for at least 25 years. He attempted to appeal the sentence because of the media frenzy surrounding the case, claiming it influenced jury, but he gave up on it. It was reported he purchased a TV for his cell and is all caught up on all the episodes of Dexter he missed during and after the trial. Man, this guy's something. He is currently locked up in Saskatchewan Federal Penitentiary. That sounds like a nice place, though.
Yeah, he's in jail currently.
Like Canadian Fed Penitentiary can't be a bad place.
No, I don't know.
So curious. Dude's on lockup for murdering dude, cutting him up into bits. Got it. Life sentence. Right.
I don't think they have death penalty in Canada.
I don't know.
That notwithstanding, those poor choices notwithstanding, did he ever get charged with
The the initial one?
Yeah, the first one that the dude walked away from. And again, I'm no lawyer. I'm no scientist. I don't know how this works. Does it matter? Like if somebody was pressing charges or neglected to press charges, you're not going to be charged with a crime if nobody's accusing you of that crime. So
if it wasn't brought up or if charges were.
So ultimately, we know this story of dude number one who was there to say, "Hi, my name is Sheena."
Yeah.
That's the guy.
He lived, the guy that got away. Did that encounter with that guy, despite the three of us now talking about it, let's just assume that it's common knowledge by now. I'm sure that the authorities know about it. Did that in any way, shape, or form affect, have impact on, extend, lengthen, anything to do with this guy, his prison sentence at all?
Well, when this
for the actual murder of the other guy.
Well, it did come out when this came out in the news. The guy came forward and told his story, and basically said, "Yeah, that was me. This happened to me, and it was the same scenario and all that." And he came forward, I guess, after this case came out, the murder case and all that. When it came to trial, when they got the script, that whole script part was in there about this first guy. So the police had this script, and they're like, if this is actually following along the actual events, this guy has to exist. And then the guy came forward, but they didn't bother going forward with the trial because they had the murder trial, I guess.
Yeah, but for murdering and chopping somebody up into little pieces and throwing him in a manhole at life, and he's able to be paroled after 25 years. So that's not a bad sentence for...
Look, I'll tell you what, the older I get, the less threatening a life sentence becomes. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm going to go out and murder people, but I'm just saying. But now that notwithstanding, I'm guessing. If dude got life sentence for murdering second person, if whatever relative to first person came out after the fact, you can't, not necessarily you can't, that's a stupid thing to say. It is entirely possible that once a judge says, well, dude, you've already got life. What am I going to do? Give you double life, triple life? Whatever.
Well, you see that in a lot of court cases. They're like double life sentence, triple.
It actually, what Zap's saying actually did kind of happen. They were going to take him to trial for that, and then there was really no need. It was eventually dropped because it
becomes moot.
Yeah, because he's going to life. He's going to prison for life. He's not getting out. He's not going to get paroled. More than likely, I would hope not. But it's just a waste of time, money, and effort, and all that. And
like Zap said, the point was moot.
Yes.
Although dude did get away. However. Dude didn't come forward. Now I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Truly, devil's advocate. Dude didn't come out and say anything until after the bad guy had been convicted or was on trial, let's say, for this murder. Are we sure that first thing happened?
Yeah. Well, it was in, like I said, it was in the script.
Are we sure?
Did Twitchell say anything about it?
Is it circumstantial? Is it an incredible coincidence that this dude comes out and says, yeah, man, I'm going to play into this one, man. I want my 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, like I was the first guy that Twitchell catfished. Was like, I don't even know this guy.
Yeah.
I do know.
I was just looking for Sheena.
I do know that. Yeah.
It could have been that whole thing. Like the guy was like, look, man, I was there, but I don't know what this guy was talking about.
I do know that Twitchell admitted to the murder, but said it was self-defense. So he was going for that angle. Now, whether or not he admitted to the first thing
Self-defense of the
Altlinger.
Got it. Oh, of course. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You said murder. That's right.
Yeah.
The first guy wasn't killed. Got it.
He was saying that he had Altinger come over. They had talked about him coming over to try out for his movie. Did you hear that? That he wanted to be in the movie. And then he told him he don't think he's right for the part. So Altinger got like very upset and attacked him.
According to Twitchell, he was a wild thing, but I don't know. Trying to tie in the Zab thing.
Starring Sheena.
Yeah. I'll leave that up to Zab. He's good at it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know about that first one. I don't really know. I just know that the murder, like, he was like, eventually, yeah, I did it, but it was all self-defense. And the guy was, like you said, he lied all his life.
Well, I know this was an interesting story. And I also know that Canadian murderers aren't that smart.
No. But
not that American ones are either. But.
So we talked about Dexter and how this was tied to Dexter. But do you know Dexter, the show, is based on a real-life Dexter? They actually got the idea from a Brazilian man that actually did all those things like Dexter does. A vigilante killer.
Brazilian.
Yeah.
That's more than $1 trillion.
Yeah. Brazilian, yeah.
$2 Brazilian.
So, and here's the other part. The guy's still alive.
Sorry, that's a body wax.
What's that? Oh, Brazilian wax, yes. It's a good one, too. The Brazilian guy.
Like, I'm talking from experience.
Right. Well, okay, so listen, if we're talking about a dude just trying to cut up body parts, you know, maybe he doesn't want to give him the Brazilian because, you know, those hairs will spark up and that'll help to inflame.
Yeah.
We're saying maybe he just wanted to wax them instead of killing. He's like, just get on the table.
Yeah, maybe he was trying to wax them.
Maybe it was a wax table.
The guy in Brazil killed like 70 people. 30 out of prison. When he was in prison, he killed another.
Why are we not doing anything on this guy?
Well, I want to do one on
this
it.
cat sounds.
But this one's more
Does this
current.
involve Kool-Aid?
What, drinking Kool-Aid?
Yes.
No,
it's not that guy.
No, not that guy. You talking about cults and stuff?
I'm talking about that Jonestown dude, and that's like the ultimate murder.
No.
I didn't touch one of them, but they all killed themselves in front of me.
That's like Manson. He didn't touch anybody, and he was charged with numerous murders.
Genius.
But this Brazilian guy, I would like to do the story.
Most cultists.
Despite that tattoo. Genius.
This Brazilian guy, I'd like to do the story on it because he's out and he has a YouTube channel.
What?
Yes.
Stop.
I am dead serious.
That's not even legally possible.
As you would say back in the day, this Brazilian guy is loco in the cabeza.
It
Loco
is.
in the cabeza.
It is because do you know in Brazil there's a 30-year maximum prison sentence for no matter what the crime is. That's the max.
This guy's like, hey, man, you should know what I did.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you
He's
do?
on YouTube.
He's like, I killed 30 people,
Let
man.
me see if I got this straight.
Yeah.
I'm no attorney.
Right.
I blow up a building full of 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
It all happens at once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in for 30 years.
30-year max.
Wow.
In Brazil. I'll show you.
Well,
the story on
Brazil's
it.
a rough. I mean, that's a rough place to live.
Well, the guy's a
Like,
celebrity over there. But you got to no. Listen.
Obviously.
Now, what you're talking about is something different than this guy was like. Oh, you did this crime and got away. I'm killing you.
Oh, so he was like Dexter. He went after
vigilante
he went after bad
vigilante.
people.
It was like 30-some people he killed. He got to prison. He killed 40 more in prison. People that were rapists.
So this dude killed 30 bad guys and killed 40 more bad
in
guys.
prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fine Colombian.
Yeah.
Well, what's considered like he sees somebody like he's like, yo, man, you just take that Heath bar.
Yeah.
Like,
You're a thief.
You're a thief. I kill you.
He
kill
would,
you.
Yeah, I kill you, man.
He would get him in prison.
Dude's vicious.
Yeah, we'll look him up. Then I'll show you. But at any rate, I'd like to
what's
do
his
that
name?
one. I'd have to look it up. I just know that when I looked up real
Did you
life,
sing a Steely Dan song?
I did. Hey, 19.
Yeah.
The Cuervo Gold, the fine Colombian.
if you
Make tonight a wonderful thing.
It's a good song.
if you Google real life Dexter, you'll see the guy's name and this guy's name, Twitchell. There's two of them, two stories like that. So we'll do that other
The
one at
Twitch
some point.
man.
Yeah,
I don't know. This guy was a punk though.
yeah. Now this guy
For a true crime story.
yeah,
He tried to commit one crime
mm-hmm.
and like couldn't do it, and then he committed another one. He just went crazy on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like the guy.
What'd you think, Zap?
I mean, what do you say on that? I had to kiss my mom at the bus stop goodbye here. You both took me to school. I had no idea about this dude.
Yeah.
This is, I didn't know this kind of thing existed. I mean, really, you know, that whole concept of life imitates art and art imitates life. Yeah, this guy was just a crazy ass dude.
Now, will you watch the show, you think?
I'm intrigued.
Out of curiosity.
So
yeah.
I'm intrigued certainly by the concept and, you know, the examples, I'm sure, in the episodes of vigilante justice. I mean, come on, man. We all grew up watching the A-Team.
Right.
That's as vigilante as it gets. With
their soldiers of fortune.
Correct. We're talking soldiers of fortune here.
Yeah.
With rifles and gear.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
If there's trouble to face, you know the A-Team's here. Man. Oh, Matt's trying to
bring you all back.
No, don't get me going on these old commercials.
bringing the 80s references
But
back.
that notwithstanding, yeah, I think I will. I'll watch the show.
I would tell you to check it out up to at least season 4. John Lithgow's in the 4th season. Great actor. He's good in it. And then after that,
Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah. And they actually brought Dexter back like last year, I think it was, for the New Blood.
Yeah.
So Dexter, the series ended like after 7 seasons, and there was a big blowback that it ended horribly.
This is not the cartoon with the laboratory.
No, not Dexter's Laboratory.
Gotcha,
No,
gotcha.
this is the actual Dexter show.
Gotcha.
People hated the ending. I know I did. I never liked the real ending of Dexter. So they just brought it back last year, I think it was. I just finished watching it. Like, we didn't watch it originally when it came out, the new one. And they redid it basically to kind of give you a new ending. And it was good. I mean, it was okay.
The big blowback.
Yeah. People didn't like
Godfather of Soul.
Yeah.
The big blowback.
Okay, you lost me
James
on
Brown,
that one.
yeah.
You lost me on that.
James Brown. The big payback.
If you say.
Yeah.
Oy vey.
But at any rate, guys, I appreciate it. I don't know what we'll be on next week, but
Look, history's not short on murders.
no, there's a lot of them.
No.
But we'll see what's going on with that. Thanks, Zap, once again. Thanks,
Yes.
Matt.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't forget
It
to
was a
check.
pleasure.
It was.
It was a pleasure.
Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Old Dirty Basement, and on TikTok, on TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. And we'll catch you where? After he puts his beer down.
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.